All right. You know what? In while in quarantine, I've been watching a lot of like motivational videos and like be your own boss videos stuff. And what I keep hearing again and again is that if something is difficult, you might have to do it several times to get it right. And that's exactly what this is. I had to do this 3 times. This is the third time in a row. So first of all, I apologize. If you are one of my 7 subscribers, I apologize for taking up all of this space on your timeline and probably getting notifications as well. Um, I do apologize. I had to go back a couple of times and figure out how to make sure I was talking through this headset. Um, so let's try this again, and I will try and keep this short, I promise. During the last live stream, not today, but the last live stream that actually had sound and working video. I talked a little bit about how in this Black Lives Matter movement, revolution, on one hand, there are things like protesting and donating that are very important. And on the other hand, there are the mundane everyday things that people do. And it is very, very important, and I truly believe this, that if you are an artist, and if you are an artist that has a specific vision for the future, then you need to create touchstones in your medium that shows people the way to this idealized world that you have. Um, I have some other projects deal with other topics that I truly believe in that I will not talk about today. I think in this, definitely for this video, and also in this time that we are in, I think it's very important to stay focused on Black Lives Matter. So I will. That's going what I'm going to talk about today. I am writing my first graphic novel, which is going to take a long time to finish and get published. So in the meantime, I wanted to do a quick live stream just to show that I am doing my very best to walk my talk, and what I'm putting into the story that I've created. I've been developing these characters for about a year now, and they are what they are. In other words, they were written. None of them are black. They ended up being. I have a white protagonist, a Jewish protagonist, and a Latinx protagonist. Just because the more I write these characters and spend time with them, that's just who they are. It wasn't a conscious decision, really. And it's also not a conscious decision to exclude a black character from my story. So what does that have to do with putting Black Lives Matter into the story without a black protagonist? Well, well, Liz, that's a very interesting question. So what I did was, well, what does this post-movement world look like? And what I found is that it looks like it looks a lot less stressful than the world we live in today. And I don't mean stressful because of the coronavirus and the protests and the opportunistic rioters. I mean just on a normal, happy, prosperous day. It's just a normal whatever day. It looks a lot less stressful. And the people with whom my characters interact, that they go to work with, that they just run into on the sidewalk, they look a lot more colorful, and there's a lot more, I don't want to say vulnerability in daily interactions, but no, there is. I will use vulnerability. There's a degree of vulnerability in these daily actions of my characters that I don't think our society has right now. I think we're all very afraid to talk to each other, and I say that as someone who is not a people person. um, and my characters aren't necessarily people persons either. Without giving away too much about the plot, um, um, because the story did start as kind of my response to societal relationships and what gender roles are supposed to be, and um, expectations for adult relationships, and kind of my way of saying, well, what if it doesn't have to be that way? Just because it's not traditional doesn't mean it's wrong. So this wasn't that, that was my idealism that I was putting into my story that I was writing, and in the meantime creating what I think is a very entertaining and sexy plot. Um, but living in 2020, we're living through 2020, um, and and doing what I can to make sure that this Black Lives Matter movement does not end up being for nothing. Putting it into my creations, I I I do see a change. This is a different world. Just a daily world that we live in looks a lot different, I think, post Black Lives Matter. And um, again, this is from my perspective as a white person. I I am what I am. Um, so I can't speak to the Black experience, but I can say that maybe if any of my fellow white people watch this and you're nervous and you don't like, what do I do? Where do I finish it? Like, can I just assure you, taking a tiny, tiny peek into the future, everything looks really great with this equality that this movement is trying to make. And I'm going to leave that comment alone for now, because I can't speak to a Black experience, and I don't want to come across as, I don't know, ignorant or a or a white savior or something. I don't want to go down that path, but I'm just trying to say that it looks this utopia that we're trying to create, or the step towards utopia, looks really good. And even if the stories that we artists, painters, writers, filmmakers, whoever you are, even if you don't think that this story or this creation is not about Black Lives Matter, it could be. It very well could be, even if it's just in a subtle way. So what are the touchstones I'm putting in? Well, daily interaction, mundane, everyday interaction looks a lot different, even from the white side of the spectrum. It just looks a lot different, and it looks a lot better. Um, it looks a lot less fearful. It looks a little more vulnerable. I think that could be part of this world that we could create. So again, we're coming on to 9 minutes now, and I promised this would be a short one. And I don't want to talk too much and get myself because this is live and I can't edit what I say. I don't want to. And this is the third time that I've tried this live stream, and I was a lot more eloquent the first time. So I will again leave my Instagram and Twitter handle in the comments, Lizzie_hair. So if you're interested in hearing what I have to say, any live, I put a lot of my footage live again because I just get so distracted when it comes to editing. So like for protesting or corona updates, my coronavirus experience updates, I usually put those live into either Instagram or Facebook. I'm not going to tell you my Facebook, but if you want to keep up with any of my thoughts, you can go to my Twitter or Instagram at Lizzie_hair for both of them. And thank you for watching, and I wish you luck with all of your projects. And thank you very much, and please stay well. Bye-bye.